The hospital room was white and quiet, except for the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. My wife, Margaret, lay unconscious after her minor surgery. I sat beside her, holding her hand, whispering silent prayers for her quick recovery. We had been married for 35 years, 35 long years of laughter, sacrifice, shared dreams, and countless compromises. I had given her everything I could, my youth, my loyalty, my time, my heart. Then, as the anesthesia began to wear off, she murmured something that made my blood freeze. "Oh,
Daniel, you're here!"
I missed you. Daniel, not Richard. Not my name. Daniel. At first I thought she was dreaming, just rambling nonsense. But then she smiled, a small, tender smile, the kind she hadn't given me in years, and whispered again, "Hold me." Daniel, my fingers went numb. My throat dried up. I wanted to believe it was nothing, just anesthesia talking, but my gut knew otherwise. That night, while she slept peacefully beside me in her hospital bed, I sat in the dark corner of the room, listening to the sound of machines and my heart breaking. When we returned home, I tried to dismiss it, tried to forget, but the name Daniel echoed in my mind like a curse. I began noticing small things, an old photo album missing, late-night smiles at her phone, a hidden box of letters I wasn't supposed to find. One evening, when she went to bed early, I found it. A small, dust-covered shoebox under our attic floorboards. Inside were yellowed letters, faded photographs, and a silver bracelet engraved with the words, "Forever yours." I opened the first letter. It was dated May 12th, 1988, the year we got married. "My dearest Margaret, I know you said you're moving on, that marriage is your only choice now. But I'll wait. Someday when life allows, we'll find each other again." My hands trembled as I read. Each letter told the same story, a secret love, hidden before our marriage, rekindled years later, while I was busy working long hours to build our home and future. She had never really let him go. 2 days later, I confronted her in the kitchen. She was making tea, humming an old tune, as if she hadn't destroyed 35 years of loyalty. "Margaret," I said quietly, "who's Daniel?" She froze. Her hand stopped midair. For a long second, she didn't move or breathe. Then slowly, she turned toward me. Her eyes softened with something like guilt or nostalgia. "He was someone I loved. A long time ago." "You loved him?" My voice broke. "Before me?" "Yes," she whispered. "Before you. And after you too, in some way." I felt the floor tilt beneath me. "You mean all these years? All this time?"
"I loved you too, Richard," she said, tears filling her eyes.
"But not the same way. Daniel was my first love. The one I never got to keep, my vision blurred. So I was just a replacement?" She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. "No, you were my stability, my safety. He was my dream." That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her soft breathing beside me, wondering how many nights she had dreamt of him instead of me. I started digging. I needed to know everything. Through old letters and phone records, I learned that Daniel had died 10 years ago, a car accident in another city. But until the year he died, she had been writing to him, secretly, sending him letters, gifts, money even. And there was more. A hidden bank account in her name, transfers made every few months to someone under the initials DMI hired a private investigator. He confirmed my worst fear. The money had gone to Daniel's daughter. His daughter. A girl about 30 years old now. She was too young to have been born before our marriage. Which meant Daniel and Margaret had seen each other after we were married. That girl might have been his, and hers, not mine. For weeks I said nothing. I smiled, cooked her favorite meals, took care of her as she recovered from surgery. She thought everything was fine, but inside I was planning. 35 years of my life had been stolen. I wanted her to feel the same emptiness I had lived through, the same betrayal that burned inside me. I changed my will. I closed our joint accounts. Quietly, I transferred every asset, every property, every stock into a trust under my name only. Then I rewrote the distribution clause. Upon my death, Margaret would receive nothing. Instead, every cent would go to charities for abandoned husbands and families destroyed by infidelity. But that wasn't enough. I decided to leave her something else. A letter. A letter that would haunt her the way her memories of Daniel haunted me. A year later, Margaret's health began to decline. Her heart grew weaker. The doctors said she needed rest. I stayed by her side, the devoted husband she believed I was. On her 70th birthday, she was surrounded by friends, our children, laughter, and a life built on lies. That night, she smiled at me weakly and said, "You've always been so good to me, Richard." Better than I ever deserved. I kissed her forehead and said softly, "You're right about that." When she passed away in her sleep 3 days later, I didn't shed a tear. I simply placed my letter inside her coffin. Margaret, you once said Daniel was your dream, and I was your stability. You should know, stability without love is just a cage. I've freed myself now. While you rest beside the man you once betrayed, remember, I never stopped loving you, but I stopped forgiving you long ago. Richard. I walked away from the grave feeling nothing. No grief, no anger, just silence. Later that week, I met a young woman who came to my door, holding an old photograph. "Are you Richard?" she asked quietly. "Yes. I think—" "You knew my father, Daniel." I looked at her, his eyes, Margaret's smile. I handed her a small envelope, a check, and another letter addressed to her. "This is your mother's parting gift," I said. "Use it wisely. She owed you that much." She looked confused, but I closed the door before she could ask more. As I sat back in my chair, the house quiet and empty, I realized revenge had never truly satisfied me. It hadn't healed the wound. It had only closed it with scars. But at least now, those scars were mine alone. Betrayal doesn't always need blood to hurt. Sometimes the cruelest revenge is silence, letting your betrayer live knowing what they've lost forever.